everyone, my name is Mariah. I'm glad I have you here with me today. Today, this video is going to be all about my experience and observations at the Miami Seaquarium that I visited the last week of July, which is a couple weeks ago. Today is August 21st. I went during the week of July 21st, so almost a month ago. A little bit about myself. I am a biology student at the University of Missouri St. Louis, or UMSL for short, and I am absolutely 100% against marine mammals in captivity. Now, when I was smaller, when I was in elementary school, I actually had the dream of being a trainer at SeaWorld or somewhere like that where I could work with dolphins and killer whales because I was so mesmerized by these animals. Their intelligence, their family, culture, the way they communicate, everything about these animals just completely amazed me and still does. And then a few years ago, I saw blackfish. And blackfish didn't change my mind right off the bat, but it did lead me to do my own research on the issue, and I finally realized that holding these intelligent, self-aware animals in tiny concrete tanks in chlorinated water, being separated from their families, is unnecessary, unethical, outdated, and just plain wrong. And there's a lot of evidence out there that anyone can see on a daily basis by visiting one of these places, and that is what I'm going to show you today. Took my camera and went to a few dolphin shows and went to Lolita's show, and I am going to share my observations with you. I will also be popping in throughout the video to point out some important aspects and point out certain things that I want you to take notice. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so we just pulled up to the Miami Seaquarium. We are gonna go see Lolita today. So I'm actually wearing my Lolita shirt that says her real name. I have my nephew, my sister, my mom, and my nephew's mom with me today. So we're basically just gonna go just kind of take some video and photo of her, kind of see what the park is all about. Well, we know what it's about, but we're gonna go get some updated footage on her and just kind of gonna try really hard to hold my tongue and not get kicked out because I really do want to get some accurate footage of her. So we'll see how this goes. Alright, so we're at the Dolphin lobby, I think it's called. It's right when you enter the park. I'm gonna walk over here so none of the workers hear what I'm saying. So here's the dolphin tank inside. I'm right at the bottom window. Here's a few of the dolphins. You can see there's literally nothing in their tank, just blue cement. They've been swimming back and forth there for the entire time I've been here, about 15 minutes now. Just, this is all they see. Nothing else. It honestly makes me sick to my stomach. the dolphin show just ended. The first thing I noticed, the first thing I noticed is that none of them have any teeth. None of them have any teeth. One of them just has holes. I mean, not even nubs of teeth left. I'm gonna stay here for a couple more minutes as long as I can and try to get them swimming around for a little bit after the show has ended. So as you can clearly see, all of the dolphins that are in the flipper show in that particular pool either have little tiny nubs left of teeth or are completely toothless and just have deep holes where their teeth used to be. Now, the clip that you're gonna see right after this is one of the main causes of why dolphins and whales in captivity lose their teeth. When the show is over, you'll see a dolphin immediately go and find a rock that he picks up with his mouth and kind of chews on and drops and picks up again. And when the show is over and the dolphins know that they have nothing left to do the rest of the day, they get very bored. And because these animals are so intelligent, their minds need to be stimulated, so they find something to keep them busy, and chewing or gnawing on things like rocks or metal bars that separate their pools or the concrete in their tanks keep them busy. And when they do that, their teeth can crack, get infected, and then eventually have to be pulled and drilled out, which is obviously what happened to these dolphins. And it makes me cringe. It is very uncomfortable, very painful, unnatural. They're obviously not getting a natural diet anyway, but it is just not right in any way. And here is the dolphin picking up the rock. When the show is over, you will also see that he is following his trainer around, begging for attention, begging for food, and just... Okay, so we're going to look at the manatees now. It is very cramped in this tank. I mean, very, very cramped. There's 3 big manatees. Here, I'm going to show you now. What is that?
Manatees are slow-moving creatures that spend most of their day feeding on aquatic vegetation in shallow coastal water areas. Unfortunately, these waters are also areas in which manatees can become
The hell? There's not even anything painted on the walls. No grass in their tank, no nothing. And all 3 of them are just bumping into each other all day long. Which they're not the most active animals, but still. And I'm really wondering, like, what is all the crap that is growing on them? Because it's all like brown and goopy and gross. Yes, algae does naturally grow on manatees in the wild because they're at the surface so much and their back gets so much sunlight. It makes them an ideal breeding ground for algae and it doesn't seem to bother them. The thing to note here is the size of their pool and the fact that they look at nothing but blue paint all day long. They have no grass to graze on. They are sea cows. They do graze and eat grass almost all day, every day. No grass for them to chew on, nothing fun to look at. It's just blue paint and they're just floating almost lifeless in the pool, and it's really sad to see. Next, I'm going to show you the 3rd dolphin pool that I saw at the park. And this pool in particular had the most dolphins in it. It was sectioned off, but the whole park probably has upwards of 30 dolphins. I didn't see more than 4 being used at one time. I have no idea why any one place would need so many dolphins, but that's another story. But here you will see a perfect example of stereotypic behaviors, also called zoochosis. And this is exhibited not only in marine mammals, but other intelligent animals like elephants or bears or big cats. Some of the other animals will do the swaying motion. They'll sit in one spot and they'll just sway back and forth for sometimes hours on end. In the case of these dolphins at Miami Seaquarium, they had plastic little basketballs in their pool and they repeatedly over and over just flick it up in the air, and they did it the entire time I was standing there. And another thing you will see is a perfect example of dolphin aggression. I did catch a little fight between 2 of the dolphins in the particular pool, and there were trainers right there. They didn't do anything about it. Not that there's anything you could do to break up a fight between 2 500-pound animals, but it's just a perfect example of what kind of goes on in these types of places. Now, dolphin aggression and rake marks and things like that does go on in the wild. However, they have thousands and literally oceans to swim away from particular individuals they don't get along with or they experience aggression with. In captivity, they're stuck, there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to escape, and it can result in injury, sometimes even death. And I'm not glad that I saw it, but I am, because I'm glad I get to share it with you guys, because this happens probably all the time. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. Looks like they're not getting along. The dolphins in that pool were also in the same situation as the first group of dolphins I showed you as far as their teeth goes, just little nubs or completely toothless. Now we are going to move on to deer Lolita. Now, Lolita's show was only 20 minutes long, but the thing that bothered me most was not her tank, even though her tank is the smallest one in the country. It's illegal actually, but it was their whole speech and spiel during the show. They completely contradicted themselves the whole time. They gave false statements, and I will be kind of popping in and pointing those out to you, but anyone with half a brain, it doesn't take an orca scientist or an expert of any kind to hear one thing being said and then hear the exact opposite.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's almost showtime here at Miami Stadium. If you're seated for the 6th day row of the stadium, you're in a great spot for solution. Also in a great spot to get absolutely soaking wet. Very cold, slimy, soft water. So if you have a pet, come to Canada, small fun and join fun.
Thank you for joining us here today, not only to see the beauty of these amazing marine mammals, but also to learn about the threats that they face our world today. 60 years later, we are very proud to have people up close and connect with these amazing marine mammals. Back then and even now, seeing killer whales out in their wild habitat was and still is such a rare opportunity.
They started off her show by saying we should feel so lucky that we can see killer whales so up close and personal because they are rarely seen in the wild. However, I've been to San Juan Islands twice now, and I've seen killer whales each time that I've gone. I've seen them probably 6 or 7 times, twice without even trying. I've seen them from shore twice just by chance. I've seen them on each whale watch tour that I've taken out of San Juan Islands. And I was just in Alaska last week, in Seward, Alaska, and I also saw killer whales on a whale watch tour there. So even though they say that it's a rare opportunity, it really is not. But then they also say here's all the places where you can regularly see them because they're the most dispersed marine mammal there is.
Killer whales are one of the most recognized and most widely distributed marine mammals found in all parts of the ocean. They're most abundant in colder waters, including Antarctica, the North Atlantic, and the Pacific Ocean. Scientific studies have revealed many different populations of killer whales worldwide. The most well-studied killer whale populations occur in the eastern North Pacific Ocean, where 3 distinct forms, or ecotypes, of killer whales are recognized: resident, transient, and offshore. Resident killer whales in the U.S. North Pacific consist of the following populations: southern residents, northern residents, and Alaska residents. Southern resident killer whales are comprised of 3 different pods, known as J, K, and L. The southern resident killer whale, also known as Orca, is an icon of the Pacific Northwest and inspires worldwide public interest, curiosity, and awe around the globe. These striking black and white mammals are recognized for their cultural and spiritual importance to the coastal tribes and communities, their value as a keystone species in the marine ecosystem, and their starring role in the region's ecotourism industry. Their range during the spring, summer, and fall includes the inland waters of Washington State and the transboundary waters between the United States and Canada. In recent years, they've been regularly spotted as far south as central California during the winter months, as far north as southeast Alaska. The southern resident killer whale population is currently estimated at about 80 whales, a decline from its estimated historical level of about 200 during the late 1800s. Due to its small population size, threats from diminished prey, high levels of contaminants, and impacts from vessels and sounds, NOAA listed this segment of the population as endangered under the Endangered Species Act.
They also failed to mention that one of the reasons why the wild population is so small now is because of the wild captures that took place in the 60s and 70s. That Lolita was actually captured from El Pod, which they mentioned. They also didn't mention that her mother and family still live in the wild. I've seen them, they're out there, and they miss her. And she misses them, I'm sure.
Lolita is a very special killer whale, not only because she is an ambassador for killer whales, but for this very specific group of residents. Lolita herself was classified as one of these endangered animals. Now, many people ask us if the southern resident killer whale population is endangered, then could Lolita be added to it? And the real truth is no. Lolita has not been around the same levels of toxins, pollutants, and contaminants that the whales in the wild have for the last 45 years.
So Lolita has not been in the ocean for 45 years, but she has had her fair share of pollutants and contaminants because she gets it through the fish that she eats. And that is actually how the wild whales get it also. They do get some from the water because they are ingesting water when they eat, but the main source of the contaminants that they get in their body is from the fish that they eat. It goes up the food chain, and the highest predator has the highest level of toxicity, and that is another main reason why the wild population is not growing, because of the toxins and pollutants that they're being exposed to. It is compromising their reproductive system, so they're not able to have as many babies as they should be having. So in the future, when captivity is finally phased out and all of the entertainment parks are looking for a place to retire their whales, that is where the whale sanctuary project comes in. It is being led by Dr. Lori Marino, who was in Blackfish, who I also got to meet at SuperPod last year. And if you aren't aware, SuperPod is a gathering in the San Juan Islands where the killer whales are regularly seen, and it's basically a big whale conference. It's really fun, really educational. I highly recommend that you go. The next one is going to be July of 2018, and I will be there. I did present there last year as well, and I will link that video down below if you're interested. But anyway, Lolita would most likely be able to survive in a human care facility, but it would be a seaside sanctuary where she would have a lot more room, be in the her natural environment of the ocean, and still be watched over and fed by humans, but it would for sure be the environment that she's in now.
Announced new regulations to protect killer whales in Washington state from vessel impacts in April of 2011. The rule prohibits vessels from approaching any killer whale closer than 200 yards and prohibits vessels from intersecting or parking in the path of the whales. It has been determined that noise from motoring vessels at distances of up to 400 meters has the potential to affect echolocation abilities of foraging whales. The noise levels are particularly high in certain types of vessels, such as small recreation and commercial whale watching boats when moving at high speeds. The cumulative impact from vessels may interfere with the whale's ability to communicate and find food, affecting their health and their survival. Research demonstrates that orcas spend a greater portion of their time traveling and less time foraging in the presence of these vessels, including kayaks. If you ever have the opportunity to see orcas in the wild, we encourage you to be whale wise and make sure you follow the guidelines.
And as you just heard there, they go on to try to discourage people from going on whale watch boats and going to see whales in the wild by saying the boats disrupt natural foraging behavior, they disturb wild killer whale behavior, and I have never seen any abnormal behavior in the wild, and I assure you that whale watch captains are some of the most responsible and respectful captains when it comes to whales in the wild. They will not get closer than the allotted 150 meters or whatever it is, and they turn their engines off. They do not chase the whales in any way, and they do not disturb the whales at all. What about the loud music that plays during Lolita's show? If they're saying that a whale watch boat, because of the sound, will disturb wild whales, why would they continue to play very loud music right next to Lolita's sensitive ears? I mean, all of Lolita's behaviors are disturbed and unnatural.
Dolphin companions, but also with her trainers.
Now, as you guys out there can see, the bond between an animal and a trainer is one of love and, of course, one of trust. Now, Lolita and I here, we have been working on our relationship over countless hours for the past 12 years. Yeah, now this relationship has actually allowed us to have some pretty amazing moments right here in this very stadium. Now, not only does this relationship allow us to have lots of fun, but it also allows us to do some very important behaviors. Now, behaviors that we call husbandry behaviors. Now, a husbandry behavior is any voluntary medical behavior that allows Lolita here to voluntarily participate in her health care 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Voluntarily. And that's all I have as far as footage goes. I hope this opened up your eyes to some of the things that are still going on in captivity today that you can just go and see on a daily basis. You don't have to be an expert to see the things that go on in these types of places. I do have a more in-depth interview style video that I did with Dr. Jeff Ventry and Dr. John Jett. That's on Dr. Jeff Ventry's YouTube. I will link that down below, as well as some links to things like the Whale Sanctuary Project and other informational videos on Lolita if you're interested. If you did like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, family, dog, cat, whatever. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for sharing, and I will see you next time. Bye.